He said, it's our associates, because if we don't love them and don't treat them right, you got
They're
no
not gonna,
prayer of them loving and treating the customer right. So he was kind of and there's been the people down through the times writing books about it and different things. And I just, probably read a lot of that early in my early career and just kind of bought into it and said, yeah, that it's logical. It makes sense.
Our purpose statement is the longer version is we are here to serve our customers, not just provide service. Right.
Correct.
Our shorthand of that is serve, not service. And so we have, serve, comma, not service printed above our doors from when you're going to the shop into the showroom or when you're leaving the office into the showroom as kind of reminders. We put it on everything we can. And we stole that from Disney and Chick-fil-A, right? I think they've both of those companies created an amazing experience. And the Disney has their 5 keys. If you're ever backstage, what they call you're going on stage in the guest area, they have their 5 keys there. So we really believe in it. A, we try to communicate it. B, and we're always going to be in the phase of then trying to train it and keep it accountable. But I think for us, we always had that, the serve, not service mentality. We always went above and beyond just the people he attracts and the way that he trains and inspires. In the last probably 7-10 years, maybe, I think we've been working more towards when we shifted from a wheel company that sells tires to a tire company that sells wheels. We really also shifted our brand and imaging, because we used to be more racing and, male dominated, checkerboard floors and lots of dark colors. And so I like to say we're not feminizing the brand, but we demasculined it a little bit. And so we softened it up, and it's some of the most beautiful automotive stores, I think, on the planet. So now that matches, I think, the serve, not service mentality, and kind of is helping complete the picture of creating an environment that's maybe a little bit different than most people's auto experience.
I love all that as it relates back to franchisees. And, we've all been there, that they get to the table. Larry, you're like, this person's a good person. Adam, you're like, this person's a good person. And they go off. And then all of a sudden, all of the persona that they showed you in the discovery process has changed. Like now you're meeting the devil franchisee when they get out there. Is that one of the hardest parts, that, you're trusting as just human beings, forget about being a franchisor, that in order to vet others out, that sometimes mistakes can be made, and that you have to figure out how do we back end from this?
Yes.
I was going to say yes, and we actually just took one back. For the first time ever. We approved a new franchisee, and within 2 weeks' time after that, we have a whole process. It used to just be gut, which is a little more dangerous from what you're saying. You just don't know. And now there's
especially
a committee.
Me, because
I didn't want to say that.
I trust everybody.
Yeah, well, because you assume everybody's as good of a person as you are, and obviously they're not. But so we just very quickly we had our discovery day. We brought them in. Actually, we got tonight. We have a dinner tonight with a new candidate. Tomorrow we'll have a discovery day, and then early next week, we'll have a committee process of, do we approve this person, concerns, pros, et cetera. And we approved this person. Within 2 weeks, something happened that went against our 3 core values. And we had never done this before, but we revoked the approval. And so that's how strongly we believe in it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, it answers it in a bigger way. I mean, what you're saying is our core values, which many companies have them, but very few of them live by them. And look, there's definitely a luxury. You're not a startup anymore. And I'm sure there's some emerging franchisors that have to go through the pain of just, grin and bear it. But for you to say, look, we have our core values, and these are the values that we hold true to our customers, both our consumers and our franchisees. If we let someone in, then we're almost disvaluing those. And that's a brave thing to go through, because, and Larry, I'm sure it probably tugs at you too, because you want people to be good people and you don't want to hurt their feelings. And, going through that, you have to put feelings aside and say, we have to protect the business.
Tough.
It's particularly tough for me, because I'm all about forgiving and moving on and that kind of thing. But at some point, you're right. You got to put your actions where your mouth is saying you are. And if you believe it, and someone shows you they're not going to be a good teammate. They're
You
not
either
gonna,
believe it or you don't.
yep.
Yeah.
So at some point, you just have to put the line in the sand and say,
You gotta live it.
this is who we are and this is what we do. And so, and it's tough, but at the same time, it feels good that we believe in it enough to say, nope, we're not gonna do that.
Adam, tell me your story. How do you go from you're in the company and you bounce and you come back? Is it because you needed to go prove that you can do this on your own, or what's the story behind that?
So I just look, we got 10 minutes left. So I'm
Yeah.
reminding both of us quick answers. So I'll give you the quick answer. No, that was zero motivation, because at the point where we were selling the company, I was in a completely different industry. I had 5 options on the table, and RNR actually wasn't even one of them. And he called me one day and said, "Hey, I told you that story." And then it became option number 1. And it just, so I say that, but on the other hand, it's also living a childhood dream. I used to travel with him to his old business, which was similar in concept. We're in the payments business, right? So rent to own, lease to own. We offer affordable, safe tires and wheels with flexible payment options, right? So that's kind of our key spot. His previous business was similar, like a Rent-A-Center or an Aaron's type thing with furniture, et cetera. And again, we get to serve the hardest working people in America, we believe. So we love that because it's a win-win. But long story short, my wife and I started an agency, a creative agency, consulting and design, video production at the time, new media, which, is websites, but this was early 2000s. And had that for about 10 years. And then I merged that with a very large agency. And that just took off and did really well. We were in the experiential marketing. So we were inventing technology, but also kind of became producing kind of company as well, because nobody knew how to use technology at events yet. And it just did really well. The Super Bowl runs on it, a large percentage of US events. So it was exciting and I loved every minute of it. But as I said earlier, I loved my family too, and I wanted to keep them, and it just didn't connect. So I came to a point where I knew that I needed to shift. I thought I'd be in one of the same kind of career categories. And when he called me, it literally was out of the blue, and it was at the perfect time. So I didn't do any of that with the motivation for what you said. However, I will say what you said that achieved, meaning I didn't, I think, just come in as the owner's son. Okay, guys, now I'm taking over and you got to listen to me because I'm daddy's boy. You know what I mean? And certainly I've never had and never will have that attitude, but I do think it helped earn some stripes and respect. And okay, he went and made it on his own. And that success, I think, has helped me to be able to come back and do what we're doing.
Well, I mean, look, you come back with credibility. You went and operated a business, you exited a business, you grew a business, and so now you're coming back with a different level of credibility versus another, kid that works for dad that didn't go out there and do that. And whether it was necessary or not, you crafting that story starts propelling this to the next level. Now, Adam, out of curiosity, because Larry's vision for where he wants to go with the business is a little bit different because he's already accomplished up to this point in life and career. How do you guys align visions as a collective to say this is where we want to go as a company? Because you're going to have a different level of fuel in the tank to make things happen.
Yeah, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think our driving, unifying vision is that our mission, or excuse me, our vision of changing lives. And so we look at that, before I came back here, I made good money. I didn't come back for money. That's not my motivation. He's already made enough money. It's not his motivation. So we really have a unified vision of the more we build and the more we create, the more lives we can change.
More opportunities all
the more opportunities all around. And that's going to bring a lot of money, but we really put most of our money back into the business to develop more opportunities. And so I think in that sense, our core vision has changed. And you haven't gone anywhere. I think you've got a little bit looser schedule, a little less stress, I think, probably, but he's still actively involved in, strategy-wise vision. I mean, I go to him all the time still. And I did that when I was gone for, 15, 20 years too. He was my greatest advisor, hey, I need help with this. I'm concerned. What do you think? And so I think we're pretty aligned, and we have a good, strong 5 to 10 year vision. So did I miss anything?
Well, I thought I was a big dreamer, but I found out that Adam actually sees way beyond what even I was able to get to visual wise. So and I love that. So yeah, we I had a level of where I thought that, boy, that would be great. His is way beyond that, and I think that's great because he's got more time left than I do. So.
So I've always said this, that brands don't sell brands, people do.
Yeah.
And yes, there's tires, and you have a business model, which if I bought your business, I'm elevating your guys' story front and center here because I think it's phenomenal. It shows family, it shows generational wealth, it shows commitment, it shows core values. Like there's so much in here that your website doesn't give you credit for today.
Yeah.
But if I'm watching this and I'm a buyer, I'm like, all right, I'm buying into this family because you guys are going to take care of me, and you're going to make sure that I got the best fighting chance to build generational wealth for my family too. And you guys already built the model for that. What else do you want the buyer to know if someone's watching this about the opportunity that maybe we haven't covered so far?
I'll say one thing and then hand it over. I think a huge word a goal of ours, but also a word we hear a lot when we blind survey our franchisees or when they tell us directly from feedback is support. Our main thing, in that transition from giving to awarding and no guardrails to guide, and proper guardrails, we shifted our focus on growth to really be able to build a support infrastructure to help everybody launch, but also sustain after that. And so I think that's been one of our common greatest goals, but also greatest results that we hear a lot of. I've come from another franchisees, but I never felt supported like this. And,
right.
We just went to a grand opening last weekend.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. And somebody told us, like, I've had this franchise and I've never seen the support. And this was a talent. We had an influencer come that told us, I've never seen support like this from corporate office. And actually they want to now become a franchisee, which is always good. We leave tomorrow to go to another grand opening. And then, so support, I think, would be probably the huge thing. And breaking that down would be the infrastructure, not only to react to help the people that we have, our customers, the franchisees, but to be able to be proactive and support them before they even know they need it. And of course, during and then reactive as necessary.
And I think the other thing we bring to the table is which my understanding is that it's not there in most franchises, is that we listen.
Yeah.
To their ideas.
That goes back to your entrepreneurship, I think.
Absolutely. I mean, the reality is we brought a bunch of talented people in. There's going to be some great ideas out there. We don't want to shut that down by saying no. We want to.
Some of our best ideas.
I want to know what I'm saying no to.
Yeah.
and I'll be right up, square up. Some of the best ideas we've put in play has come from franchisees.
Yeah.
So being open to that. Now I've heard some crazy ones.
Yeah.
And to that, you never say no. You say, that's a thought.
Yeah. That's a thought.
That's a thought. But there's some that are good and you just go, hey, let's give it a try. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So
like leadership, which he's lived his life doing, listening is the number one thing.
Absolutely.
A lot of leaders like to talk, and you got to be good at communicating, but listening is the key.
Out of curiosity, any other family members in the business?
Actually, my oldest daughter is a franchisee with 2 stores. She's a partner in 2 stores in Indiana.
Yeah.
I heard you charge her double royalty, though.
Well,
let me say a statement.
You can't take advantage of family. Who can you take advantage of?
Heard that as a child, by the way. I always stuck with me. And he reminded me of that when he invited me to lunch to come back. Just remember, I can't pay you. If you can't take advantage of family, who can you take advantage of?
Actually, I'm her partner in those stores.
That's awesome.
And they're doing well.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch.
Yeah. Well, I want to say this again. Like, I think I can see what business you guys are in. I don't think the business category mattered. Like, the reality is you have a culture, a process.
Yeah.
That the widget ends up being, you're in the automotive industry. You could have done anything.
I agree with that.
As I sit here, watch this. I mean, I'll say this. I have two boys. I admire this. Like, ultimately, this is where I want to be someday with my kids. And I think that's a really cool thing to, if I could, zoom out and watch this as an outsider, I think it's neat to see this, because this is what I aspire to as an entrepreneur as well. And frankly, I think a lot of franchise buyers aspire this to get to this point too. We started pooling franchisees 2 years ago and trying to dial into more of their candidate journey and their purpose. And only one answer comes out of this question: why are you doing this? And it's family. And the fact that I can sit here and watch this, it's awesome. And it's been a privilege learning your guys' story. And I'll be a fan for you guys forever here, watching on your success.
Well,
Thank you.
That's very kind. We
Thank you.
literally have a lot of father son and father daughters
It's true.
as franchisees. So and that's cool to see. We got a lot. I mean,
No, we do. It's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and it's a balance, you know. But it's awesome. So, and by the way, we're fans of what you guys do. Great company. I love the concept and the podcast. Really appreciate you having us on.
You bet.
This was a pleasure.
Honored.
Yeah, let's make this. Let's do this sooner than later. I think there's a lot more that we can dive to. And you guys said you talk a ton, so you know we're.
That was not 30 minutes. We kept
okay.
short answers. Yeah. That's first time it's ever happened.
For Larry and Adam, I'm Nick. This is another episode of Meet the Zor.
Dang.